Jake. Hi, welcome back to another video here at DFD Mastery. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Here at DFD Mastery, we understand that you guys want to be successful real estate investors, and for that to happen, you need to consistently find properties at a massive discount. And that is why we share our Driving for Dollars marketing system with you guys. It can be really discouraging when you're spending more in your marketing than you're making. So if you want to learn more about our marketing system that has made us a fortune and made our students a fortune all across the country, you just go to dfdmastery.com, check out that free webinar and sign up. You can also subscribe for more free content here. So we teach in that webinar, we talk about the importance of driving for dollars. It's a very simple system that we offer. It is, we teach you how to build the list, how to market to that list, and then how to hire a driver to automate that system for you. Just one person can run your entire marketing system and make you an absolute fortune. So in today's content, I'm super excited to talk about education. This is the third part of the series of these videos, so if you missed the first two parts, go ahead and check those out as well. But I wanted to talk about the importance of books. Books have been a huge impact. In the last video I talked about, I spent over $100,000 in mentors over the last 3 years. And you know, as far as books though, I think books have made just as much of an impact as that $100,000 in coaching. And it really makes you think and makes you learn. So I look at education as kind of like a math equation. So if you want to learn complicated algebra, you know, you have to learn the basics first. You have to learn addition and subtraction. And so if you sit down in a class for the very first time you're ever learning math, and you're talking about you know, finding the value of x and finding the value of y, and learning algebra, and there's letters in the equations, not even just numbers, you're going to be confused because you're going to need to learn and to compound your learning to be able to comprehend something more advanced. And it's the same thing with our education. The more I learn, the more I realize I have so much to learn, the more questions that I have. And it's quite fun to go back and read some of my favorite books and have new things in there that I didn't even realize were in those books. And it's because when I read through them the first time, they weren't relevant to me because I wasn't ready for that teaching. You know, there's that cliche that says when the student is ready, the master will appear. And what it is when you're ready to take on the next step of your education, that's when you're capable of consuming and understanding what is being taught. So it's very important to understand that you need to continually learn your entire life. Learning should never be, you go to school for a few years, get your degree, and you're done with your education. Education should be perpetual. So I wanted to share something really quick. So this book's called The Slight Edge, great book, and it talks about the importance of compound interest, or you know, compounding what you're doing, whether it's money, whether it's education, whether it's you know, your investment into yourself, into your physical health. All things compound. So Einstein, I believe it was Einstein, is quoted for saying that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And sometimes when you hear compound interest, you think just money. But I want you to understand that rule of economics, or whatever you want to call it, it works in everything. It works in your health. It works in your relationships. It works with money. It works with education. It works with everything. So in the very beginning, it shares 3 stories of the power of compounding. So it actually talks about, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but there's this water flower. It's Hyacinth is how you spell it. This is a plant that grows on top of the water, kind of like a lily pad. So it says on the first day you won't even notice it. In fact, the first few weeks you will have to search very hard to find it, right, as it starts to grow in the pond. But on day 15 it will cover perhaps a single square foot, so just a tiny amount, almost the size of this book, of the pond's surface, and barely significant dollop of color dotting the expanse of placid green, right? On the 20th day, 2/3 of the way to the end of the month, you may happen to notice a dense little patch of floating foliage about the size of a small mattress, right? You would be easily forgiven if you mistook it for a boy's inflatable life raft left behind during a family picnic. On day 29, 1/2 of the pond surface will be open water. On the 30th day, the entire pond will be covered by a blanket of water, whatever it's called. You won't see water at all. And the reason this is every day that plant doubles, right? And so it's compounding. So the rate of growth, if you look at it on a graph, is like a hockey stick. I've heard it described. So it's going and then it just launches, right? It curves. It's not a linear straight growth. It's a huge jump, right? And so as I've read books, the reason I bring this up is I want you to understand that some of these books I'm going to share made a huge impact on my life because I read them in the moments that I needed them. And so I'm going to share my 5 books that made the biggest impact in my life at the moment. And I want you guys to write in the show notes, what are some of your favorite books and what are the biggest impacts that you got from them? Like, share those things with me, share those things with everyone else so that we can all grow and have new books to read. I'm constantly looking for books. But before I get into these 5 books, I want to share one more tip as well. So like, this is one of the books that I'm reading right now. It's called The Atomic Habits. And I read a book, it was called The Seven Disciplines of Highly Effective People. I think it was Stephen Covey that wrote it. And he taught me the importance of when you start to read a book, read it and study it like you have to teach it to someone else. Because when you have to teach a book or teach the contents of something, you're going to retain it much better than just skimming through it. And so I went a step further and actually every week in our team meetings, I actually have a section where we talk about the book we're reading that month. So I buy a book for everyone on the team, and a lot of us read more than a book a month, and so we actually just go pick up our own books and share what we're learning, or whatever coaches or mentors or coaching programs, we share what we're learning and teach the other people in the group so that we retain the information more, right? Not necessarily for them, but we do it for ourselves. So what I started doing is I started writing my own little glossary. So I don't know if you can see that, but I actually write the page and the golden nugget that I got. Should we zoom in? And the reason I keep that is so I can remember the gold nuggets, so I can go back and study it. I also have flashcards of the things that I'm trying to memorize and things that I'm trying to retain, whether it's new vocabulary, because there's lingo, right, to different industries. And so sometimes I'm trying to learn the different lingo, and sometimes I'm just trying to learn the main concepts of certain books. And I'll say them over and over, and I'll teach them, and I'll look at them every day. You know, I use a postcard or a thing as my bookmark, right? And so those are some gold nuggets to help you guys retain and learn more as you're reading. I don't feel like I'm a natural learner. I don't feel like I have the highest IQ for sure, but I make a major effort to try and learn and to try and be better for my team, for my family, and for myself. So let's get into the 5 books that made the biggest impact in my life. So the first one, I was about 14 years old. So my dad had a friend who was very successful. I grew up pretty poor, and I had a wonderful childhood though. And we spent a lot of time as a family, and we spent a lot of time in the mountains hiking and being together, and it was a wonderful childhood. But I worked very hard from the time I was young. We had a lawn mowing business as a family, and I remember learning and seeing people that had a ton of money. We would go up and mow lawns for people that had these giant houses and fancy cars. And I remember asking my dad, like, how do they make their money? And I remember being curious about it. And my dad became friends with someone that he worked with, and I was talking to him. He went fishing with us one day, and my dad told me he was extremely wealthy. And I remember thinking, like, well, how's he wealthy? He doesn't drive a fancy truck. He doesn't wear fancy clothes. You know, he kind of looks like a redneck, just like us, right? And I remember thinking, like, well, how does he have money? And I remember talking to him, and he told me to read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So my dad's wealthy friend actually had a bunch of rentals, and he still has rentals. I went to lunch with him. I still spend time with him. He's a great guy. And so he told me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 14, and it really opened my eyes to money and to understanding money. And I got excited about it, and it was the first taste of entrepreneurship. It was the first taste of investing and an eye into the world of something more. And so that was an awesome book for me in the moment that I read it. I've read it multiple times since then. It's a great book if you haven't read it. It's by Robert Kiyosaki, if I haven't said that. So that was the one of the books. Another book was called The Power of Self-Discipline by Brian Tracy. The main gold nugget that I got from this was he talks about setting a goal and then brainstorming. You write, let's say you want to accomplish a certain goal, but you don't really know what to do or how to do it. So he says you sit down in a room in a quiet space and you write a list of 20 things that you can do, that you can implement to reach that goal. And I use this exercise all the time. If I'm stumped and I don't know how to get somewhere, I will do that activity. And then you implement 3 at a time. And then I go to work and implement all 3 and work and work and work until it's automated or until I know it's not going to work. And then I move on to the next 3. And every time I do this activity, I rarely get to the 20 things before the goal's accomplished. I don't have to worry about the other ones. And so that was a huge gold nugget. The other one was creating your goals. I had written a goal that year and I wanted to acquire 2 rentals, and I didn't know how I was going to do that. I didn't really have credit. My debt to income, I couldn't get more financing, and I refinanced some money out of my personal house. So I had some cash, but not a lot. And I remember I had no idea how I was going to pick up 2 rentals, right? I didn't have my business like I have now. I wasn't finding deals. I didn't know how to find deeply discounted deals. I was still a window cleaner. And one of the things he talks about is the importance of telling everyone what your goals are for the year, anyone that'll listen to you, because you never know who can help you accomplish that goal. And so I did that, and I shared my goal. I talked about my goal to everyone that would listen, and I was washing windows for a guy. I told him my goal, and he's like, oh, that's interesting. I have 2 rentals that are pieces of crap that I don't want anymore. He gave them to me seller finance. He basically just gave them to me. And I accomplished the goal. I've recently sold them. I made well over $100,000 profit on those 2 properties, and it was amazing, right? So that book was really cool. It was one of the first books that I really started doing the activities. That book is one of the books that one of the first books I started taking a postcard and writing gold nuggets and memorizing them and reading them every day and really trying to consume the content. So that was a huge book for me in the moment. Great books. Let's go to the next book, Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. So this is actually 100 pages of a book, and then it's a big journal after that. And the first 100 pages, it talks about building 3 main goals for the year. And one of the things it talks about is the importance of giving away what you want to receive, the importance of giving before you can take. And one of the goals I had made is I wanted to make $1 million. And I didn't know how to do that. And it's what pushed me to become a coach. Because of that book, because of that journal, I'm here before you today. I learned that if I wanted to increase my business and grow my business, I needed to give away and teach my marketing channel. And so I brought on some students and started teaching them, got them crazy awesome results. It was so satisfying and so rewarding that I wanted more of it. I wanted to help more people. And so that book really changed my life for that fact. It taught me to be a coach. I mean, obviously I did accomplish the goals, but I did make the $1 million, but it was actually less important to me than becoming a coach. So it was kind of a very special book to me because it's completely altered the path of my life. And then let's go to the next one, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Chris Voss was a hostage negotiator for the FBI. Basically, he's credited to what he said in the book for basically writing the playbook for hostage negotiations as we know them today. And that's been an awesome book for negotiations, and it's really helped me learn how to negotiate and work with sellers. And it's not it's not the negotiations that I thought it was going to be. It was a great book. It's made me tons of money, and it's been one of those books that's really altered one of the bonuses to my course. So I have a bonus to when you sign up for my coaching Driving for Dollars marketing system. I offer actually 5 bonuses. If you check out the free webinar, you'll learn about those bonuses. But one of those bonuses is the 3 steps to getting a purchase contract. And the negotiation strategies, a ton of that has been influenced because of that book. So the 5th book is How to Improve Your Marriage Without Talking About It. This is actually the most recent life-changing book that I've read. I read that just probably only 4 months ago, and that book has helped me obviously with my marriage, but it's also helped me with negotiations. It's helped me, not just with my wife, but it's helped me with negotiations in the workplace, and understanding the differences between men and women, and then understanding the differences with men. Like, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my own inner fears and my own insecurities. And a lot of times, if I would get frustrated with my wife, or if I'd get frustrated with a coworker that was a woman, I learned that it was some of my own insecurities, actually. And it was really eye-opening. So that was huge. So I've had leadership positions in religious aspects, and in business aspects, and in the past I actually had some struggles with women and with men, but I feel like I've had more struggles with some of the women that I've worked with. And that book's really helped me learn why I had some of those struggles, and it's really helped me change myself to be better and to have a better relationship with my wife and with all the women in my life, whether it's a professional or a personal situation. And so that was a great book. I highly suggest it for any man or woman that's listening to this. Best book so far of the year, and I've read quite a few. So great book, check that one out. I think the author was Patricia Love. I think there's some co-authors on that one as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Those are my 5 books that made the biggest impact in my life because I read them in the right moments. Obviously, there's so many books in between there that made those books so impactful. So don't stop learning. Make that a goal for this year. Start reading. Try and read at least a book a month. If you can, increase it from there. Make time to read because it will change your life. Also, I want to know what are some of the best books that you've read and have made the biggest impacts in your life. Put them in the comment section. I'm going to check these out for sure because I'm always looking for more books, and I'm sure some of the listeners are as well. So that'd be super helpful if you'll comment the books that you've liked. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us out a ton. And then you'll also get access to the videos we upload every single week. So like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.